Valorant Campus League in Singapore, where the top teams from Singapore's top tertiary institutions have been battling out for the past couple of months to fight for a chance to represent their school on a national level and stand a chance to be called the champions of the Valorant Campus League summer season. I'm Kim Innocent. With me is Hey, I'm Quack. As we take a look at our grand finals, we've had a couple of matches come in so far. It was played in a double round robin with an upper bracket BO3 and the lower bracket was a BO1. The two teams that we have in our finals today, Drones Go Brrr and ZoomBoomPow, have played against each other in the upper brackets finals before, where they ultimately had one team win, and that team was Drones Go Brrr. So ZoomBoomPow goes down the lower bracket, they play through it to the end, win the lower finals, and then they're back in for the grand finals.
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be quite the grudge match. I mean, you're facing off against a team that knocked you down into the lower brackets.
2-0 too.
Yeah, 2-0. And if we recall the information correctly, they actually lost in the maps Ascent and Bind. So coming into the grand finals, I'm going to be very interested to see what maps they're going to pick. Hopefully not Ascent and Bind anymore.
Hey, you know, this is a good chance to get some revenge play, right? And
True.
If you're wondering what stakes they're playing for, first place goes home with 600, second place goes home with 300, third place, which has already gone to Inertia from NUS, it's $100. That being said though, you know, it's a nice little pickup. It's a nice little pickup. The first campus league for Valorant in Singapore so far. I think it's a nice pace setter going forward for more competitions, for more development with Valorant in Southeast Asia in Singapore. And I think you've mentioned that some of these players are a little bit familiar to you, right? You've seen them before, some of them have played competitively before, and now coming back in, the level of competition is elevated even higher.
Yeah, I mean, it's only going to get better and better. I mean, Valorant right now, it's only the first year.
Yeah.
We're going to year 2, it's year 3. I mean, constantly changing things up with the patch right now. It's episode 3. They're trying to focus more on gunplay. Abilities have been nerfed. So even though I have seen some of these players, some of these teams before, I think we can expect a lot more different strategies this time around. For example, Decapitate, who plays for ZoomBoomPow, they played in last year's PvP Campus League as well. They did win, and he was playing a lot of Reyna, but this time around, I don't know, is Reyna going to be still as strong?
That has seen a little bit of a backseat in gameplay. Not as many teams are looking to try and run it anymore. I think that people are still finding the footing with the new episode, trying to figure out exactly what works best. I still think for the most part, it might be a little bit too early for us to see entirely different strategies. We're probably still going to see teams go back to what has worked before, of course with some changes, with a little bit of adaptation, but for the most part, as we see things right now, I still quite expect something similar to what we've seen before, you know, going for a pretty well-rounded composition, nothing that goes a little too crazy. I think that with some of the nerf to utility, making it a little bit more expensive, a little bit, having a little fewer to hold, definitely affects the map a little bit. I just think that this is going to make teams have to be a bit more decisive and make calls a little bit earlier, because you can't really just try to figure things out, get too much intel, because you kind of have to pull the trigger, otherwise you run out.
That's the keyword right there, decisive, and that's what we're going to be looking out for. I mean, we talk about compositions, we talk about utility, but it ultimately comes down to your information gathering, your timing, your positioning, how you're going to use all those tools that you gathered and then make a call. I mean, if you take too long, you run out the clock, you don't even get the spike down, that's going to be a very big problem.
Yeah, that is a really big problem. We've seen that actually happen a couple of times across... Yeah, especially when you take a look back at Southeast Asia, the Southeast Asia region in general, right? A lot of teams like to play to that last minute, you know, like to hold it down the last few seconds, because then it becomes very dynamic. It forces your opponents to have to react very quickly. And when that happens, there's also, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because you also run the risk of not being able to find the plan in time. That's very devastating to your own economy, to your own gameplay, so we'll have to see how that adaptation comes into play. You know, that being said, for both teams that have come into this competition so far have had pretty good runs. Of course, being able to make it all the way to the finals now, as we've seen, they've been able to take pretty much that every single game, right? I think for ZoomBoomPow especially, apart from the game against Drones Go Brrr, they went all the way, right? Yeah.
They did go all the way, but they also did drop to Drones Go Brrr, so hopefully some adaptations coming into the grand final. I really don't know what to expect. I mean, maybe they're going to stick to the old compositions, but I honestly don't think, you know, in the past, at least last year, Omen was still kind of a very popular pick, at least just talking about controllers, having your smokes is very important, but now, Astra, Viper, that's something that you see a lot more than Omen, and I think I think we can expect that this time.
I think with how strong Astra has kind of been, especially with the Cosmic Divide, it's been so difficult for teams to effectively deal with it. I could totally expect, to see a lot of Astra, even across whatever map we play. I think we were mentioning earlier, looking at some of the maps that we were kind of theorizing. I was mentioning that Sova could become a nice pick as a controller for some of these teams, but you were mentioning that it might not work on, I believe, Split?
Yeah, Split.
Do you have any
reason?
Yeah. You want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. Let's go for it. Split, for Sova, it's just one of those maps that it can be quite difficult for you to gather information. I mean, yes, he has drones. Yes, drones go brrr, the team name. And yes, he has a recon bolt. But on Split, you have a lot of different little corners. Like, for example, if you're coming in from mid, you want to shoot your recon bolt, say, in towards B Heaven. Right? There's that little elbow corner with the stairs. The recon ball is just not going to get that much for you in that one spot, and it's a little bit redundant. I mean, you have different options. Why not go for a breach? Why not go for a Sky? Sky could get information too. I mean, she has her Trailblazer, which effectively is kind of a drone, and her flashes, her the guiding light, it actually does tell you, oh, blinded. You know that you get some information.
Right. So we've actually been seeing a lot of Sky being played as that kind of pseudo recon information kind of role. We've also been seeing quite a decent amount of Killjoy, I think, to act as a kind of a duality, right? Not only does it kind of give you information to be able to get to know whether they're there without having to directly commit to the site. We've also seen it come into play when you're on the attacking side because you don't have to directly peek. Right? And so you're able to get some information with that as well. So both ends of the stick, we've seen Killjoy actually come up in rising popularity, I think, for the past couple of splits at this point. So we'll have to see what these guys want to go for. I think we're just about ready for the players, and I think they're betting out the maps now. So this is the point where we get to theorize. Are they going to go back for the revenge end? Because, when you play games, sometimes it's not the best play. But
so you're kind of tilted.
It's worth more to win, when you're a little bit troll than to win. He's judging me. He's down.
I am. I mean, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's that kind of, like, the male ego steps in a little bit.
Wait, I mean, you don't have to go that far, but okay, I'll give it to you, sure.
Hey, I mean, I watch a little bit of Tyler 1. We want to be that, let's go! And you want to... I mean, yeah, you beat me on Ascent? No. Ascent is my map. I'm going to come in. I'm going to show you how it's done, right? Let's see a 13-0 or something. Who knows? Who knows? I'm just throwing that out there.
Of course, it's it's going to be difficult to take these games off for sure. We've seen... But I think with that being said, Jones Go Brrr might actually see Crescenia actually not play this round. That might be a chance that's the case, and with how well they're able to play with Crescenia kind of acting as that entry fragger, that duelist that can generally consistently get you a 1-for-1 exchange and then a lot of information on top of that. Without him, I could see a different dynamic for SUTD, and so SMU, I think could have a really good chance. But of course, right now it's still kind of speculation before we go into the agent select.
Yeah, we're just going to have to sit with this and kind of theory craft about it because, I mean, as we all know, VCT Stage 3 is right around the corner. Some of these teams are either scrimming or I think the Singapore-Malaysia qualifiers is actually happening pretty soon. So they might not be around for, unfortunately, the grand finals. But we will see what happens regardless. I mean, the core roster is still there. And I think they must have some kind of protocol or standard operating procedure in place coming into the maps. I mean, Ascent, Bind, they might have lost. Do you think we'll actually see an Icebox today?
Okay, so I've had some ideas regarding Icebox, right? Because, watching back at the European VCD last night, I got to see Fnatic play against a separate team. That was a bit of a slump. Fnatic had a
It's Fnatic, come on.
Yeah, it's Fnatic. That's the thing, right? It's just like, that's the crazy thing. But at the same time, when we were discussing this, you brought up some good points. Even when you go into new maps like Icebox, and eventually what's going to be Breeze as well, right? You're going to say, like, yeah, it's a new map. People... It's kind of has its own gimmick that people might not really enjoy that much, and so it becomes a less popular map, but you can't really discount it as a potential map because there's always that chance that the opponent team realizes that, if they're not going to do it, I will. I will learn the call-outs, I'll learn the spots I need to play from, and then they get very proficient at it. it becomes like that kind of niche. So Icebox, while I think they could come out, but seeing how SMU and SUTD have been playing so far, I think they are more standard teams. They're not really looking to go all out, play the Icebox, you know, cheese it with a 5 duelist comp, right? I think they like to play standard. I think they like to go for something that is comfortable for them, and I think comfort is what's ultimately going to make the difference in this set.
Comfort. So question is, are we going to step out of our comfort zone, or are we going to stay in it? I really hope that they do something interesting, right? Let's get out of it a little bit. Maybe, I know drones go brrr. There's that the drones going brrr in the sense that it's fast, it's a motor, but brrr, maybe it's cold. I don't know.
Oh,
Icebox, right?
That I think we just got information. Drones have banned Icebox, so unfortunately they will not be able to go brrr. I think drones go brrr means that they're cold, so they can't play Icebox, right?
Okay.
That's the issue, right? It's too cold. They need a blankie.
Sure. Blankie. Yeah.
They can't
cover me, guys. Yeah. Cover me. I'll cover you, bro.
The wrong kind of cover.
What are we doing?
ZoomBoomPow have banned out Bind, which is an interesting
okay.
choice. Yeah, so we've talked a little bit about this at this point, right? You know, not really wanting to go back to a map they previously lost on. But that being said, Haven is still an option for them. But you kind of mentioned SMU kind of do like Haven as a map overall, right?
They do, because I mean, at least one or majority of the team on the SMU squad, ZoomBoomPow, they used to be ex-CS players. If I believe correctly, it's Decapitate. He used to play CSGO for Team Resurgence. That's quite a while ago. But if we take a look at the layout of the map Ascent, it's quite reminiscent of Dust 2. I mean, we talked about this before. The way mid is laid out, you kind of have that catwalk, A short. It's something that Decapitate is very, very familiar with. He's really good on it. I don't think he's going to want to stray from that too far. Of course, sticking to Reyna as well can be quite useful. You leer through walls, you provide that support for your teammates. You can actually have quite effective set executes that allow you to break into sites very well.
And I think we just got our first map. Drones have picked Ascent.
Wow.
Interesting choice. Okay, going into this one, you know, we talked a little bit about how Haven's kind of similar to these kind of bigger maps. You know, it has to some of the other FPS titles maps. Back to Ascent, you know, it's pretty interesting. It's a little bit tighter, a little bit more skirmishy. I'm quite curious how this one is going to pan out for these two teams. But that being said, though, the fact that it is more skirmishy gives me some idea that we might still be seeing a pretty duelist-heavy kind of meta. You know, still kind of favored by that, leaning a bit more towards the NA meta, I think, as opposed to something with a couple more controllers. We have seen some level of success, though, you know, stacking up the Killjoy and stuff. You know, Killjoy can kind of sit by B with the drone and then play towards mid, and then that gives you a little bit of control. But it's kind of difficult, you know, to defend the side and retake the side once you make that fast push in.
This is going to be very interesting. I mean, okay, Ascent has been picked by Drones. I believe that is probably the map that they beat ZoomBoomPow on. Maybe they picked it in that previous upper bracket final. And then now Zoom is going to pick Split. I mean, they were the ones who banned Bind. Maybe they have some kind of a plan to pull out on Split. This is going to be very interesting. You talked about the compositions. We have the so-called NA meta, the standard, right?
Yeah.
Double duelist, one controller, maybe one sentinel, one initiator. It's really standard. Maybe ZoomBoomPow will go with that. I really hope that Drones will come up with something more interesting. I mean, a lot of teams have been experimenting. We even see Paper Rex, for example, in Singapore. Sometimes they go without a duelist. Sometimes they go with a duelist, but not the most conventional one. They go with Yoru. It's there. You have so many possibilities. So I really don't know what these teams are going to do, but I hope it's going to be interesting. Last map is going to be Haven. Skirmishy. What do you think?
I think holding on to that. Pretty interesting choice, right? Not wanting to go into Haven too quickly. You know, I think this is actually a little bit interesting because looking back towards Bind and Icebox, you know, having banned those two out. Okay, Icebox being Icebox. We talked about that a lot at this point. Sure. Banning out Bind is interesting to me because Bind is pretty, I feel like pretty reliant on getting a lot of information, being able to get these setups, especially when you're trying to get onto B site, especially, I think. You know, and it's interesting because this is very different from what I think they're trying to go for when they end up picking, you know, Ascent and Haven, where it is more skirmishy, where you have faster duels, you're able to block out these corners, and you have more faith in your own mechanical skill, right? Whereas if you go for something bigger like Bind, and I think Haven kind of fits into that category as well, because, you know, being a larger map, you need some more additional time to get this intel, get this recon off. So just being more confident and more comfortable with your own individual prowess.
Well, if they really are confident, then this could be a very, very interesting play, because just taking a look at the agent picks right now, Decapitate actually not going with Reyna, this time with Jett instead. That is very, very different from what I'm used to.
Okay, both sides instantly lock into Silva, trying to get some information here, and this is, I think, pretty worthwhile map to be playing Silva on. I think Ascent has, we've seen a lot of how Silva can make impact here. Cypher also gonna come in, Killjoy gonna come in. Interestingly enough, Phoenix both being covered by the defenders and attackers here. Phoenix has been a little bit less relevant, I think.
Yeah, you kind of see Phoenix falling off because he just doesn't quite have the same explosive or divey sort of utility that Jett or Raze has. But, you know, he can heal up that. I guess, you know, some pros think that that's not really a big factor, but I still believe that it's a nice little way to top yourself off. You might be able to survive that one extra bullet.
You know, you're dancing on a hot pocket. That's fine. But, you know, I have to wonder, if that were the case, why not? If you're looking for the wall, you could go for the Viper. If you're looking for the heal, you know, you could even go for something like a Sky and trade out something instead, maybe get rid of the Yeoman, for example. And that could be a potential option. We do see the comps round off. It's double duelist for the defender's side, but it's going to be the Jett and Phoenix. Both sides going for Phoenix. So I feel like that might be something that we're not quite seeing here. Maybe these teams have figured something out that we haven't quite seen yet.
This is... I don't know. I don't think it's that they haven't. They're figuring something out that we don't know. This is actually very, very reminiscent of the old school Valorant. Like during beta, when the newer agents haven't come out yet, they're just sticking to that same NA standard of 2 duelists. Your Sentinel being either a Killjoy or a Cypher, and still no Astra. They're going with Omen.
Yeah. No Astra across this game. It's an interesting one, especially with how much we've seen Astra being played. I think it might be directly due to just the nerfs that we've seen. The increased expense has made it a little bit more difficult, I would assume. So they're going to play a little bit more slowly, as we do see a bit of a stack towards A to start off the pistol round. Not sure how much you're going to be able to get here. Some good damage to trade back onto somebody. But this does give away some information, so they're going to make their way in through Cat, but I think it's taking it a little bit too slow here.
Yeah, Drones definitely suggesting an A split, but that has been somewhat denied by somebody. Just getting that early information. He has those tripwires set up as well now, so it's going to be a push in towards Market, but they're going to have to make it quick, because Decapitate over by A short, that could actually potentially set up a sandwich situation.
They're getting pretty close to it. Look at where they're positioning right now. They're already making the rotates over to collapse back in onto B. Some pretty good angles to hold on to this. They don't have much information moving in, so first one's going to go down. Domino does find 2, and so they've opened up the site. Very good position here. They should be able to find this last one. The defenders, ZoomBoomPow, pick up the first round. They collapse back in onto Drones, who just didn't have the kind of information to know which sides they had to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, what did I say? It's a ZoomBoomPow sandwich. You got Decapitate as the bun from the bottom, and then you got Domino and the rest of the squad on the B side. They're the top bun, and of course you have a very nice little drone scoper patty in the middle.
But
buns and patties, burger sandwich.
A burger's buns? A burger's sandwiches? Is this controversial?
Are we actually doing that right now? Yes, they are. Sandwiches and burgers, they're the same thing, right? Buns and the bread, and then you got the ingredients in the middle.
I feel like someone's going to disagree. I'm not sure if I...
Let us know in the chat.
Educate us. Right now. Educate us on burgers and buns. Somebody, once again, gets a really good spot. They actually push up through Cubby in B side, so gets a little bit more information. You know, it's kind of expected that ZoomBoomPow should be able to win out this round. Pretty good fashion. That being said, you know, they do manage to trade back a little bit. They're kind of just stacking for the site. I would have liked them see them play it a little bit slower, just get a bit more information on the kind of angles and the way that ZoomBoomPow plays instead of kind of beelining it their way in. they've kind of defaulted back to what they did in round 1, stacking towards B site, and maybe gonna make a split play towards mid as well. But look at the response out from ZoomBoomPow. They're all stacking mid here.
They're really, really confident. I mean, winning the past 2 rounds, even going for aggressive peaks just because they had firepower, they feel like this game is theirs. If they actually push out of mid right now and the lurker towards the back does not find them, it's going to be a very, very big problem. Of course, giving up the B site means that drones can potentially go in for the quick plant, and we might see a 5v5 retake, which would be a little bit disastrous for ZoomBoomPow, actually.
Slight mistake, so they've given up the site, it's given them back to drones go brrr. We do see the Phoenix ultimate used to get into site safely. What they didn't realize was ZoomBoomPow have just given this one entirely. The spike's gonna go down. They've managed to get that planted. They do trade back 1-for-1 here. Site's looking pretty good for drones go brrr. I mean, it's 3-3, but they have all the angles to watch out for.
All the angles, only 2. That's one by stairs and the other over by lane. And Fushclock is the one that's watching it like a hawk. The rest of the squad, though, hiding in over by dark. It's going to be quite difficult. And Decapitate, a bit of a wallbang as well. Rushing in now. He's so lost and he's going to find him over by the other side. It's an easy frag for Mr. Decapitate, and somebody will be able to find the defuse 3-0.
And you know, even with ZoomBoomPow losing 3 here, it kind of helps them because now they get to reset the economy, they get to come back with stronger weapons, you know, they don't have to rely on SMGs anymore without having to worry about losing efficiency of the economy. It's quite an interesting dynamic how that round played out. You know, they were so confident about the retake, ZoomBoomPow just came back in, took it back over, evicted drones go brrr effectively, and this is kind of problematic because if you get control of site quickly, you know, you saw when Omen was playing, he tried to hide out at the box, watching out for lane, but the issue being, if you have your teammates peeking from that side and you're not covering them, you're just giving the opponents a great chance to get a pick.
Exactly, that's why you're seeing this drones go brrr. Not every single teammate is on the same page, and that might be due to the fact that this is not their full roster. It's really unfortunate, but that's what they've got, and right now they're trying to make their way in towards the A side from A main. Decapitate already knows this, so coming back in to support the team. Tripwire's on effect as well. The rest of the squad are probably going to have to rotate off. It's just too hazardous to just push in without any information. But right now, back in towards mid, you can see that ZoomBoomPow are actually reading them like a book. The rotates are all on point. In fact, they're going for the aim fights. It's going to be Domino who finds the first pick. The rest of the squad, though, it's top mid and B link right now. And Fuster actually picks up the Phoenix.
Great pick off, and is still getting more great headshot. Lines up the shot, is in great position to find this, and it's down to the Killjoy left. They don't quite have intel on where the Killjoy is, but it's difficult. You know, not many places to move to. Quakechup is a delicious snack, but you know, I'm not sure how well that does in a gunfight. Does manage to find a headshot. So he's going to make his way back over on the B side, but should already see the intercept coming out from the Sova, who's moving into position to prevent this. There's too many angles to watch out for. Just going to grow out with his knife, but he doesn't realize that right across the box. He's planning the spike now. Look at the wrong side. It goes down. Yong. Sneaky, sneaky Sova players, man.
Sneaky Sova players, and I mean, he just played it super smart, knowing that, okay, since he doesn't have information, he's only one guy, I can definitely hide on this site, lure him into a false sense of security, as it were, and then I'll get my sodium intake for the rest of the day, because witch up with a little bit of soy sauce. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good, yeah. You know, that was really, it's been coming down to a couple, aim battle for a couple of these rounds, you know, and every single time ZoomBoomPow has come up a little bit ahead, and that's kind of been what's made the difference. Even as we see now going into the 5th round, you know, they haven't quite been able to find that momentum, and so they split up. They've adapted a strategy at least, which is something that I really do quite appreciate. No longer just trying to stack up. But the issue is they lose out in these aim fights, and so they run down with the numbers disadvantage, and they just cannot recover from that.
That's right. What Drones Go Brrr need right now is to come up with a tactical adaptation. The aim fights just are not favoring them right now. I mean, even over by A main, somebody's able to just peek out, find an easy headshot, and then now it's a huge numbers advantage for ZoomBoomPow. I mean, 5v3, how can 3 guys break into a site when you have so many people watching it?
And I kind of want to look back retroactively a couple rounds ago, right? where Drones Go brrr actually had a pretty good buy, and they expanded a couple of ultimates to really get back onto B site, where they got that round control, the one where they just kind of walk past ZoomBoomPow. The issue being, they expanded a lot in a situation where they weren't directly clashing, and so coming into the 5th round, going into the 6th round probably as well, they rather the 4th and 5th round, they didn't have a lot that you didn't have the ultimates. That could have made all the difference, because ZoomBoomPow managed to go into the 5th round with far more than Drones Go brrr had.
Yeah, that's the thing. Lack of utility, lack of ultimates, and right now it's complete lack of information for the side of Drones Go brrr as well. I mean, look at the positions that ZoomBoomPow are playing. It's the same trick that Yang was playing earlier, lulling them into a false sense of security. But now, Fuster, maybe looking for exit frags, he's going to pick up 1. Not too bad at all. Gonna save this weapon for the next. It's a Hero Phantom, and hopefully, just hopefully, they'll be able to find one on the board with this one rifle.
Well, ZoomBoomPow, don't really lose all that much. Somebody is going to be a little bit upset. His deaths have been increased exponentially. 0 to 1. It's an exponential increase. But that's kind of where Drones Go brrr have been able to do well in, being able to get these pickoffs, allowing ZoomBoomPow to walk into them, rotate into them, get some information where they can. Because so far, being the aggressors, they haven't really been able to do all that much. Even if you see right now, they try to make their way into A site, but Cypher has gone so much information. They set down the smokes in great position to deny them out. They have a tough time breaking in, and this has given so much space to ZoomBoomPow to rotate over. They've taken control of Garden. They're just on site, holding at the back here.
Okay. A little bit of coordination with the ultimates, and here we go. It's the Hunter's Fury that takes 1 down. We have Fuster leading the charge in as well. The Phoenix ult providing so much value. They finally have one side under control, but it's back to a 2v3 retake.
Drones Go brrr finally have the ultimates and the utility to actually go for these fights. So it pans out in their favor. They have 3-2.
No charges.
Pretty good spot to be in. Zien looking to maybe use his ultimate here. Domino over on the other side. Might be find this. Cannot. And so the Omen gets a return kill. Still looking for the last hits to take him down. So they still train back. It's 1-2 now. But Omen not with much HP. Doesn't realize there's one person beneath him. Quicham finally gets his revenge. And the sodium strikes back. And Zien might have to get a little drink here after that.
A little drink, wash it down, don't get too salty, but not bad after all. I mean, this is the strategical or tactical adaptation that Drones Go brrr needed. The way that they've been playing so far, they're a little bit hesitant, they're losing in the aim duels, and ZoomBoomPow might be very confident in pushing them, but once they come up with a plan, a solid, well-executed plan, all 5 guys rush into a site, you're going to overwhelm the single Cypher player, and that's somebody.
Yeah, despite the fact that he's been able to get some information, the fact that he's forced back, he's relegated to the back corner, it's been difficult for him to maintain control of the site. That being said, though, depending on how the team is here to defend him and to play with him, it could make a very big difference. ZoomBoomPow, were a little bit overwhelmed with the number of ultimates coming through. The Hunter's Fury honestly found so much value in that last fight because they were able to take down the opponents just hiding in the back of boxes.
This is pretty good as well. I mean, at first they used the Owl Drone to pop the tripwire, so now it's a little bit easier to break through A main. Meanwhile, all that is happening. We have Jam who's creeped up the bottom of mid. They're trying to bait out the rotates from ZoomBoomPow. You can see that Decapitate somewhere up towards heaven. If Jam can actually lurk in and somehow infiltrate from the back door, it's going to be a very big problem for ZoomBoomPow because they won't be able to hold the site.
They don't realize this. They've been baited out. Coming in from the back, Jam does not manage to find the kill that they need to keep things going. Decapitate going to get taken down as the Omen finds the flank to still get in position. It's just down to the Phoenix now, who's rotating out over back from B, but it's 1-3 without his ultimate. It's going to be difficult to find this. Smoked out, might just want to grab the operator and run. He has someone right beneath him. Not sure if he sees him. Omen goes down into his left. There's still a player left remaining. He does not find a Domino. Despite finding one, is taken down. Cannot save much more here.
Very nice from Binu. I mean, just crouching, minimizing exposure, not letting his head get spotted by Domino. That's all you need to find the remaining frag. And now it's Drones Go brrr with the tactical adaptations, the strategical adaptations, they're coming back into the game. It's 2-5 right now, and if they can keep this up, we might be able to see a 6-6 first half, or maybe even 7-5.
It could even things out a lot here. Of course, they still need some momentum, but ZoomBoomPow have finally been hurt a little bit. The economy's not doing as well anymore. This is getting a little bit scary here, a little bit spicy. You know, they're just staring down the barrel of the op, spots out the drone, spots out the sentry there.
Well, at the very least, that's going to be information for ZoomBoomPow, because off that one turret, they know that drones go brrr are somewhere towards B lobby. You could see that the players are getting ready for this as well. I mean, we have Yang, I believe. He's coming over to stairs, gonna go for a bit of a peek. Jin, though, waiting for the push. It's just a matter of time before they start collapsing onto the site, but here we go. Jin wants to lead it in, but cannot because he gets tagged by Domino, gets fragged as well, and all of a sudden they won't be able to break into sight.
Two holding from the angle overwhelms them, and it took a little bit too long. It gave just enough time for the Phoenix to rotate over, get into position, and take them down with the recon bolt. He does not have any chance. Drops the spike back over to B main, moving back into spot. Quichup is down by himself again. Didn't quite manage to see his armor, so I'm not quite sure if he should be trying to save this or he can just go back in. I think from the way that the rounds have been going, they should have a little bit of economy, but I think he's dying a couple of them as well. So might be in his best interest to save here, especially when he's up against such an overwhelming numbers disadvantage. But yeah, don't think they're looking to collapse on him. Just gonna take it slow, play out the timer. There's only 15 seconds left on the clock. You know, let's take a look. Let's take it back to what kind of happened in this round, right? Because Drones Go brrr actually had a pretty good spot for a second. But I think, like you mentioned, it really just came down to the Jet getting information with the sentry turret, right? Once they knew where they were, once they knew they were trying to make their way in through B main, they stacked back up, rotated over, and they overwhelmed them.
Information is the name of the game, and that is how ZoomBoomPow are playing this perfectly. You know, if they actually wanted to hurt Drones Go brrr even further, rub some salt into that injury, they could have just waited for the timer to run out, let him think that he's holding onto that weapon. If you actually survive without getting the spike planted,
no economy.
You don't get you don't get your round loss bonus, and then they kill him. That is just so painful.
So, at the very least, a little bit for consolation. Let's see how they want to play this one out. Very interesting. Capitate in good position to find this, but they still managed to get the return kill, break open A almost here as they continue to make their way in. Just going to take a little bit of a back snap because they don't want to keep going. The Hunt finds the Omen, and they equalize the ball once again. With the recon bolt, they can get a lot of information here. They're making a long rotate all the way back past their base, trying to make their way back into B. But with Omen still hovering towards B side, I think they should have a defense here. Actually, they're just going to make their way away right as I say that.
It's a bit of a heal, but the rotates should be being
That's what you wanted, right?
By yeah, that is what I wanted. You know, it tops him up to back to 100, but I mean, just look at the information that's available on the board right now. You knew that they were trying to go A. Now that they're not pushing in towards mid, you're definitely gonna think it's a B push, and that's why Jin is ready for this. Finds the first. Here's the spike being planted, which gives away the fact that they are definitely on site right now. 3v2 retake. I believe ZoomBoomPow's got this.
They don't quite have their information, but they are able to make their way in. Great peek and just jumping in with the Blade Storm. Finds the last kill. Is actually going to go over to Young. The Sova still holding on to this. They get the defuse off, and Drones Go brrr had a pretty good moment there for a second, but ultimately could not defend that. Like it said, it was a process of elimination. You knew where they were going to be because you know where they're not. And so once you knew that, okay, they're not going on the A side, we have blocked off with the smoke, so they're not coming in through B main. Where does that leave them? They can only be on site because we came in through stairs. So you just go onto site, look for these last 2 picks, look for these last 3 picks. They did it. They fragged them out. It's a great position for ZoomBoomPow to be in. And
maybe there's a chance that it's not just that too. I mean, it could be that knowing that they would go into B, they're kind of rolling out that red carpet. Hey guys, come on in. And once they're in there, we got Decapitate, pulls out his knives. It's easy frags for days. And right now, Drones Go brrr trying to go back with this same execute. Numbers advantage. They're looking to overwhelm the sites, but Decapitate and Young are just ready. They're already in position. They know where they are. They're looking for the frags, but now going for the peaks. The Angels, they're losing it. Decapitate though, gonna come back, swing it into their favor again. 3v2 now.
I was gonna say, it hurts them so much. Decapitate still finds 3K though. The spike dropped in the B main right past the smoke, still making his way in. It's a 4K for this Jet to win out round number 10. Spike being placed so far forward, so aggressively, was a terrible spot for them to be in. They walked right into the scope, into the crosshair of Decapitate, and he, well, does what his name does. And that's gonna be another round 1. And looking at how things have been panning out, Drones Go Brrr only are able to win out these rounds when they have the ultimate stacked up, when they have close to full utility, full buys. The fact that they haven't been able to do so, they've been kind of mixed buying, right? Still trying to save some economy. It's been very painful and very difficult for them to hold on.
See now, this operator in the hands of Decapitate is starting to become a very, very big problem. At first they were going towards B, now they think the operator's on B, they want to go towards A, but guess what? Decapitate's in guarded, he's just waiting for you. It's only a matter of time before they push in. Run It Back confirms that they're all around A main. In fact, if they want to, ZoomBoomPow can actually push in and try to keep them in towards A main, while the rest of the squad just decimate them one by one.
How this series is going to come out, potentially still has to run it back himself, so could potentially use it to get onto the site instead. Doesn't realize somebody's in perfect position to just take them all out. It's a 3K for the Cypher. Decapitate with a kill of his own, and still they push through the smoke. Doesn't realize he's behind him, but with this they get information. The last player left alive on Drones Go Brrr. He's not alive anymore. ZoomBoomPow 9-2, looking to end off game number 1 with a bang. Holy cow, Kentro.
14-5. That's his KD. If it was 15-5, that's a 3.0 KDR. Decapitate is on a roll, and he's looking to make heads roll. This guy is not stopping at all. And right now, I want to know where his position is, because this is going to influence Drones Go Brrr's decision-making heavily. Right? They're very paranoid about where this one operator could be. Whether it's mid, whether it's A, whether it's B. If they once they hear that shot, they're going to want to stay the heck away from it.
Oh my goodness.
There we go.
This is despite the fact that they smoked out top of mid, by the way. Right, they smoked out the pizza, by the way. And so even though they blocked out vision away from Decapitate, he was still able to get the kill on the Vino. That's so devastating. It's so painful for them. And so now they have pretty good idea where they are. Somebody's making his way past this. Just gonna look to get a flank off. This could be very punishing for Drones Go Brrr.
He has his neural theft as well. All he needs is one corpse, and then he gets all the information. Double kill! Let's give him the third. Place anti-flash perfectly. All that's left is the one lone Reyna, and Domino will finish him off. They drop 1 by 1. 10-2, and that's the score at the end of the first half. Things are not looking good at all. In fact, very, very catastrophic for Drones Go Brrr.
Honestly, what do you really need when do you really need the neural theft when all you have to do is just walk in to find all 4 on the side of Drones Go Brrr in that same spot? We do switch sides, so we're back into pistol round. This could be the start of a bit of a comeback for Drones Go Brrr. You know, the way they've been playing, I think they stack really well. I think they play as a team very well. Well, I think they play these dueling fights as a team right well. The issue being, you know, they haven't been quite on the same page when they get onto the site. So I could hope to see a little bit more aggression stacking together, trying to get these pickoffs. We do see a little bit of that towards A.
Yeah, possibly, but right now I don't think ZoomBoomPow are going for any sort of overly aggressive plays just yet. I mean, these guys are experienced CS players. They know to go in for information first before diving in. Hit now, it's going to go towards mid. They're trying to get some information. Jam is aware of this, so trying to position themselves for any kind of rushes. They want to put a stop to it and then rotate over Drones Go Brrr, but can't quite find anything just yet. I mean, so many players all over the place. It's just a big guessing game.
Both sides just kind of pushing and shoving. You know, it's the ebb and flow of information gathering. It's taking a while. Pretentious kind of spawns on Young there. Cannot keep going as a bit of collapse comes through. He finds the first kill, the headshot, but he will not be able to find a second. Has to reload. Decapitate in a bad position to find the return kill. They do manage to finally get back onto the side, but they don't realize Heaven has a couple of players still hovering by the side. Young coming in now. He's been collapsing on both ends, and Drones Go Brrr will be able to pick up the third round. Well, we will pick up their third round to make things 10-3. Picking up the first one in the swap. You know, they're looking to pick up a little bit of momentum here.
Looks pretty good, and definitely winning the pistol will give them that boost in momentum now that they have Spectres. Even a Marshal can be quite useful if you don't have armor on the second round. But yeah, a bit of a crucial mistake from ZoomBoomPow earlier in that round. They wanted to get the spike down, but the fact is they did not get the door closed, which effectively gave them another angle to look out for. That's why Yong died. But now, coming into this round, again, not any form of overly aggressive plays. They're just trying to overwhelm in numbers, pick up a weapon or two. They find one onto a main, but are unable to push in just yet.
No good information on the site, so they can't exactly get on. But you can see the difference. You know, look at how things have been stacked out on B side for drones here. You know, they have so much more information. They can quite easily detect when the rotate comes through, unless somebody just gets to walk through mid.
Yeah, this is over rotation from Drones Go Brrr right now. Just one frag and every single one comes over onto A site. And then now a little bit of a shot from somebody and they're thinking that it's on B. They come in, but they walk into somebody's crosshairs. It's going to be a full-on pistol fight over by mid right now. But Quaid Shop is just making quick work of them with the Spectre and then the Frenzy. It's a 4K. Something expected, but still a very nice attempt from ZoomBoomPow.
Things are looking a bit dicey there. Almost came in with the Sheriffs and to take them down, but like you said, over-rotating. They got a little bit too overzealous, trying to rotate back onto A so quickly to get some control there, but what they didn't realize was there was no need to force onto that site. You know, even with the one pick off, because they didn't have information on A, it's so difficult to just try and shove their way in. You know, you have too many angles to watch out for, too many corners. Without that information, they don't want to go for it. Let's take a look back into our 15th round, because look at where they're stacking right now. You know, ZoomBoomPow have committed to A side. They want to get their way in, looking to use the drone to get some information first. They don't quite spot up pretentious, and this could be a very, very dangerous scenario to be in.
Yeah, with the Judge holding an off angle, he could potentially stop all 5 of them if he places cards right, but Decapitate immediately knows where he is, dashes in, takes his head, now looking to secure Heaven.
He's up there, right through the smoke, fires in the wrong spot, realizes there's somebody there, does not quite manage to find it, but just gonna make his way down to the bottom. It's 3 to 5, they have good numbers here. Shocked are not quite able to connect, but they have great spots to watch out for. Look at all the angles they're covering. This is very, very well coordinated from this team. They've been able now to get control of the different sides. You know, nobody covering, everybody covering different angles, so they have so much more information. Binu walks in with the wrong gun in his hands. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Domino takes the kill, and so they end off this round flawless.
Oh no, Judge, Jury, Executioner, sadly, was not the one who brought the knife to the gunfight. In fact, it was the other one, just a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, this is just ZoomBoomPow playing it perfectly. I mean, flawless execution. They managed to break open the site. They tried to delay the rotations by securing Heaven. To be honest, though, Decapitate, if you had a Phantom, I'm just saying, you might have been able to find a kill or two through the smoke.
Yeah,
I'm all about that Phantom supremacy.
Okay, recon bolt comes through. They find the first one. Quaid Shop is immediately down. Shockdot tries to slow them a little bit here, but the Temple isn't going to lose too much. They just put their crosshairs on their heads. They win this one out. They're on to side, and it's down to 2. Decapitate walks into the fire just a little bit, just to make sure he sets his dominant. Doesn't realize that someone's his side. Over in the back, he's hovering by the smoke, spots out the Phoenix. The Phoenix reloads, and they manage to win the round, but it's actually Zien that gets the kill on the Prudentious, saves the Jet there. And now we're down to match point. It's just one more for ZoomBoomPow to win out before they can take the first map away. And if they win this map, they move into the next one, which is going to be split. And I think with how we've seen things coming in so far, it's kind of looking a little bit more favored to ZoomBoomPow for sure. But I think drones, you know, being the ones to pick split.
Could be.
Yeah.
We're even seeing an Odin coming out from Binu. I don't know, but that could potentially be something that puts a stop to this ZoomBoomPow zooming all over the place. Decapitate, though, playing it a little bit safer. They're dialing it back just by a bit. Again, now going in for the peak. He's able to find the 1. Now the second out towards mid. They have so much room to work off this just because Drones Go Brrr got a little bit too impatient.
Things are looking a little bit bad. Omens down by sight himself, doing the best he can to try to hold on to this, but he has to rotate back all the way off of Heaven. gives a lot of space back over to ZoomBoomPow, and I quite like this, this call to not force this.
Oh, a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, he makes good use of this space with the smoke, so he was able to get the running back away from the Phoenix, but things are looking bad for them as Cypher, somebody gets that kill, now it's just down to the one last Killjoy, has to make his way forward, walks right past the Jet, and so with the Blade Stomp, she'll try and find him, but behind him with the knife, Young gets the kill to win out the game. The first map is going to go over to ZoomBoomPow.
That is so dirty. so dirty. We have 5 knives in the form of the Blade Storm, but that was not the one to get the kill.
Yeah, you just have to pick which knife do you want to go down to. It's
oh no.
It's 13-4. Very good round out from ZoomBoomPow. You have to wonder. Okay, so it was actually Drones that picked Ascent. Right, so Drones were the ones to pick Ascent, Zoom were the one that picked Split. Quite interesting choices coming out from these teams. If Drones were the one to pick Ascent, you have to wonder, did they have a specific strategy that they wanted to go for when they went into this round, or if they were just confident to play out some of the mechanical fights. I think with how you saw the composition, when they had the ultimates, when they had the utility, they were able to win out the rounds. The problem is when they don't have that and it was down to a mechanical fight to being able to line up your shots a little better, it just oftentimes went down to Zoom in the end.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, utility, you don't always have it, especially with the new economical changes. Yeah. It's a give and take. Do you want weapons or do you want utility? And if you do go with utility, then your weapons aren't going to be as good.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate, but I do have one phrase. Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Is this a safe for Quake Shot?
Yeah, maybe, but
is Quake Shot better served cold or hot? I think this is actually
revenge, not Quake Shot.
But
do people actually eat Quake Shot cold?
I think so. I do think there are people that do enjoy the Quake Shot cold. Do Drones serve Quake Shot cold with a side dish of revenge, or is the main dish revenge with a side of Quake Shot? You gotta specify these things for me, man. I can't figure it out.
I'm gonna say it's the main dish is revenge.
Main dish is revenge.
The side dish is Quake Shot.
Okay. I'm down for that. I'm down for some of that.
And also, just the main thing is that they don't have their full roster.
Yeah.
So losing on the Ascent, ZoomBoomPow, definitely very happy about that. You have seen how devastating Decapitate can be with the op, with the knives, with anything really, even swapping over to the Frenzy in times of need.
I think, but looking back at ZoomBoomPow as well, when they switched over to the defender side, when they pulled out the Marshall, I felt like they had a lot of impact. The Reyna had a lot of control in mid, was able to cover top of mid cat pretty well there. And I think this is kind of unfortunate because I felt like they were given a little bit more time to build up the momentum to get kind of prepared and used to how Drones kind of play. They would have been better able to kind of deny some of the events they came in from. I felt like one of the major weaknesses was just when they made a beeline directly into B. They had some issues defending the site outright. I felt like that might be slightly due to, running the Phoenix and the Cypher both onto B, rather onto A. The Cypher can block out some things to begin with, but after that, when you have the Phoenix, we saw what happened with Decapitate. Decapitate rushes in, Pretentious just dies outright, It's partly because they understood how to play out the site so well, and without the additional utility from maybe a different duelist or a different controller, it kind of hurt them.
Oh, that's definitely going to be very, very painful, at least for Ascent, but you know what? You're going to the next map. It's ZoomBoomPow's map pick, which must mean that they have some kind of strategy in place. And if DroneScoper are not prepared for this, I think we could see a very quick 2-0.
Quick 2-0 would be painful, of course. You definitely want to still have this. Oh, looks like, was that a quick load-in? Okay, so Split, we've seen what kind of happens when you play Split. There's a lot of emphasis for the attackers to get control around mid, whereas defenders, generally you might want to do something like drop the Sage Wall or something, just kind of slow them down a little bit, because when the attackers do get onto like B Heaven, it can be a little bit tricky to defend from, especially when you play against the Rays. We've seen how, between the Rays and the Jet, when they dive in, they have the Showstopper, or they have the Blade Caller, the Blade Storm. They get a quick pick-off, and then they break into the site pretty easily. So, seeing how we've kind of played it so far, I think that for Split especially, we've seen how the map has been dominated by these fast diving in duelists. I'm quite curious if they're going to continue stacking for that.
I think it's quite possible, especially for ZoomBoomPow. I mean, we've seen that Decapitate is fully capable of diving in as Jet. Last year, I did not see him do that as much. Maybe he's still a little bit used to playing Counter-Strike, going for that Reyna pick, but this time around, he's picked up a few new tricks. I'm hoping that Drones Go Brrr have something up their sleeves as well. I mean, there are ways to put a stop to crazy dives from players like Decapitate. There are ways to deal with jets and raises, whether it's the tripwire now, Cypher with the new patch.
That's true, yeah.
You could also have your Sage or maybe a Killjoy, a turret placed somewhere where they don't expect. Once they dive in, it's going to slow them down a lot because of the tagging mechanic in Valorant.
So, that's actually really interesting, right, that you mentioned that, because we talk so much about being able to dive in, we also kind of have to talk about being able to stop them, because we've also seen agents like Sage in quite decent popularity on Split. Sage, Viper, Astra, being able to stack up control and being able to deny the entry has been a big theme when it comes down to Split overall, right? You get the Ice Orb off and suddenly it kind of just slows the opponents and they lose so much momentum trying to break into the site. Is very problematic to deal with. So that being said, with these kind of changes, I'm pretty curious if they're going to play for something that gets them a little bit more intel, try and rock maybe even something along the lines of like a Sky and +1, Sky maybe with something like a Cypher maybe, to even give them that additional amount of information, or if they're still gonna opt for something a little bit more duelist heavy, something that can trade back pretty well.
Very, very possible. Sky plus Cypher. I kind of like where you're going, but what I really want to see from Drones Go Brrr, it's a lot more Sentinels. I don't want to see them go with duelists because I don't think that's what they need, right?
Right. I don't think so at all.
The double duelist is something that you would probably see from ZoomBoomPow. So you need something on the side from Drones Go Brrr to counter that.
It's a rock paper scissors kind of situation,
rock, paper,
right?
scissors.
And if they want to be able to get control back, you play for something that's a little bit slower, and you get so much more value out of having these options. So it could be something a real possibility that we see going into this next map. I have to say, though, Split has been a little bit difficult for some of these teams to navigate, with the size and the distance that you have to travel between the rotates. It's been a little bit difficult for them to be able to cover these sites very well. Oftentimes, I think we've seen teams go for the retake as opposed to trying to directly hold on to the site, especially when some of these corners can become very difficult to watch out for. Though, you have the back of B, you can double stack that, and so it's very difficult to out-firepower them.
Yeah.
These small details kind of build up the pressure for defenders, especially to make sure to kind of get the site back quickly before they can get these optimal angles off.
A lot of, exactly, tricky corners, but that's where utility comes in. I mean, you want to look out for, like you mentioned, towards the back of B sites. You could also talk about B rafters, maybe even A elbow.
Yeah.
You can actually clear those out. I mean, just perhaps paint shells in towards one of those spots. Maybe even, I don't know, Killjoy Nanostorm. There's so many options, but it's up to these teams. I'm just hoping that the composition, whatever they go for, is something that gels well together, because if you go with something that just everyone's playing their own game, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Talking about playing your own game, I've actually want to quickly bring up. I've seen a couple of matches where the defender side actually kind of leaves someone to lurk around mid. You can even play towards ropes and stuff like that. They kind of play their own game. They're going for their own journey. This is a trial for them. They have to go and make a 1,000-mile pilgrimage around the entirety of the map. Just looking for any information and any catches here. This is pretty interesting to see. I do think we have gotten a call that we're going to make a quick break off of something that's happened before we jump into our next map. That being said, though, first Campus Legends, the Valorant Grand Finals, nerves are kind of here. Some of these guys are not fully competitive, but this is a good chance for them to build up some of that experience going forward as well, especially with VCT and all this being in play. So we're going to go into a quick little break before we jump back into our second map. It is Drones Go Brrr versus ZoomBoomPow in our Grand Finals for the Valorant Campus League Finals. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the official Riot Games Campus Legends for our Valorant Grand Finals, where we're down to our last two teams. It is Drones Go Brrr and ZoomBoomPow playing it out with our first map already being finished. It was up on Ascent, I believe, and you know, that round went over to Drones in pretty convincing fashion as well, and Drones out from SUTD and ZoomBoomPow from SMU. We should be jumping into our second map on Split pretty soon. From what we've seen so far, very dominating game out from Drones. They've been able to get a lot of control. ZoomBoomPow are reliant on having the advantage, having a overwhelming economic advantage in order to close out these rounds well.
Yeah, I mean, once you see someone like Decapitate going in with an Operator, that's a 4,700 credit weapon, he really starts snowballing, and it's very difficult to stop him, especially because he's playing Jet as well. I mean, just dash away and they can't find you anymore. Drones Go Brrr,
yeah,
they really need to come up with a plan. You can see that, unfortunately, they do have a sub in, so not everyone's on the same page sometimes.
Oh my goodness, have I been saying the wrong thing? Now that you reminded me, yeah, Drones Go Brrr were the one that dropped the first game.
Yes.
Yeah, ZoomBoomPow won that round. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so they have to come back in with a little bit more tempo here. We do see the Asian picks for most of it coming in. You know, we had a little bit of a query as to why Phoenix was so heavily prioritized in that last set. You know, for some reason, these teams really wanted to go for the Phoenix with their lineups, with their rosters. But we felt like there could be something a little bit more dynamic. Now we're back to a very standard composition from both sides, I think, you know, with the way that the agents they've selected here, the choices they have.
Okay, yeah, this is still kind of the old school Valorant stuff that you started to see when the game first came out. It's kind of odd that we don't see any Vipers or Astras just yet, but still, I think this can be quite potent. You still have the two Jet, the double duelists, yeah. Jet plus Raze. This suggests the dive comp that they're going to go for on both sides, actually. So it's going to be very crucial that the Sage players, the Omen, the Breach, puts a stop to it really quick. Nip it in the bud, as they say.
You know, that's pretty much like what you've mentioned, and I think we've also kind of discussed about the idea of the Cypher being really effective, especially on Split, to deny the engage out from the Raze from the Jet. So the fact that that wasn't picked, instead we've seen the Breach and the Brimstone, I think the adaptation is interesting. It's quite, I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how it pans out. Of course, slightly different dynamic. We do see the wall likely going to be used mid early on, but it's a heavy stack towards A main. It's a rush coming out from Young. They're looking to try and get in. ZoomBoomPow trying to make their way up into the A heaven. Don't quite see this. Binu gets the flash off in time. They break their way in, and A side is ripe for the picking. They've made their way onto site. Should be planning to smite pretty soon here as well. Already two down. Aside of Drones is a good spot for Zoom to be in.
This is already cutting them off on the rotate. Decapitate just going to put a stop to this. They're waiting for the smoke to go off. It's a right click. He finds a head, and now he's looking for the remaining two players up over by Heaven. They get the information, and they're just going to make quick work of this. Mark my words. He's going in, looking for the right click. Gets the second, the third! Decapitate! FBI, open up. I'm going to kick the doors in and claim this side as my own.
He heard the footsteps, put his crosshair on where the player was going to be, gets the right click off through the smoke. That's crazy stuff. And Decapitate starts off the first round with 4 kills, builds up so much economy. Look at this. He's almost starting it off with 2.7 and should be able to get pretty close to a full buy very soon here. He's actually going to hold out a little bit.
He's going to save and buy the op on the next round.
Because if he gets this, if he gets an orb and 2 picks here, he could get the Blade Storm in round 2.
Exactly.
On round 2, and that could be all the momentum they need. They're going to make their way through mid right now, get a little bit of intel out from the Raze. Looks like they've been stalled here. The Ice Storm going to slow them out quite a bit. Don't quite find the entry that they want, so they make their way back into B main. Maybe looking to B garage, maybe looking to try and break their way in. On the left, it's going to be the kill. No. Somebody gets the first pickup. Decapitate finds another with the Ghost, and they were getting infinitely closer to that Blade Storm.
This is already the B side open to them. They get the spike down. Already has the Blade Storm now.
There you go.
Has 3 kills, and it's just quick work. Young even cleaning things up. Doesn't need to pop the Blade Storm. In fact, he can save onto the next round. Has the Spectre, could drop it for a teammate, could buy up and up, could buy anything really. This is so good for ZoomBoomPow.
Just a fantastic start, and you look at this. with 5,000, yeah, it could go for the op, could just hold on to the Ghost, get the Blaze Storm. If you get the pick off, because you know that it's going to be down to Drones here to make this full purchase, to try and win out the third round. If he's able to just come in, use the Blaze Storm to get just that one pick, and then pick up the gun after that, could just convert this into a really strong round, not just for the kill score, but also for the economy. They do try to hold out through mid, but it's a difficult spot for the Sage to hold on to. Gonna get flashed down, so won't be able to quite defend this as Captain makes his way through. He finds yet another kill with the Ghost, and so they're breaking in. They take down the Sage too. They've made their way onto the side. It's just down to one. And they're making some chaos. This is what I was talking about. They pick up the gun, they pick up the Vandal. How do you lose this round at this point?
This is so bad. Now Decapitate has a free weapon, even goes in and looks for the last remaining Brimstone, who's coming up by stairs actually. Might be able to find one. Not even. It's going to be a flawless victory. ZoomBoomPow, perfect teamwork, perfect coordination. They break into the side as a team and then lock down each and every angle together.
You have to wonder, why does Zoom pick this map? And this is pretty much it. You know, you see the coordination that they have. They have so much knowledge on how to play out these specific angles, how to go get onto site quickly, how to play it out. Works so well for them. They have taken Drones to school. At this point, it's so difficult for them to play out the fourth round. You know, their economy is basically in shambles. You can see they are opting for some shotguns here. It's a difficult spot to be in.
It's an early molly to stop them from rushing in. Of course, we have seen that Decapitate's very fond of diving in really, really quick, even using the dash as soon as he makes his way onto ramps. Tries to use that little gap in between the smoke to find one, but Decapitate is just a little bit smarter, anticipates the push.
Close spot. Doesn't realize that there are two on both angles. Could be a little bit too aggressive. Trying to make his way up. Doesn't clear out the left. And Pretentious finds the return kill. Finally takes down this Jet. They managed to get a little bit of an upgrade with the guns. But in the meantime, ZoomBoomPow have made their way back onto B. Yeah, it's a bait and switch. You know, you pop and switch them. They get baited out. They're going to make their way onto the wrong side. And now with control of B, Binu trying to make a play where he can, but gets taken out by Yon. Despite getting onto B Heaven, gets a little bit too ambitious, doesn't realize that they are playing with numbers disadvantage. There's still 4 available on the side of Zoom, so it's going to be difficult to try and hold on this.
Now he gets stunned as well. This is information plenty for ZoomBoomPow. They know where Pretentious is, they know where Fuster is. It's just going to be frags. Maybe he's going to look for an exit frag or two, but with a Spectre, the way that ZoomBoomPow has been playing, he gets blinded. Wow, that's a good flash. The second one comes in. Okay. Left click, spray and pray, actually finds one, but how long can you hold on to that Spectre for?
Hey, I mean, that was a good kill overall, right? You're still able to trade back a little bit, and you know, you have gone for a loss streak at this point, right? So you get a little bit of economy back. Even if you die, should still be able to make a bit of a save before making a bigger full purchase the next round. They're actually opting to go for a bit of a half buy here, getting a little bit desperate, I think, feeding the pressure coming out from Zoom. But I don't think they have to do that. They should just keep holding on and doing what they are most comfortable with. Pretentious going to opt in for this Marshall early on. Round number 5 here. Let's see where he plays for it. He's looking to go and hold on to mid.
See, I don't think Drones Go Brrr are lacking in mechanical skill at all. Like, their aim looks pretty good. Their crosshair sleeve is on point. The only thing is, not everyone's on the same page, right? Even going in with that 3v5 retake, Binu was the only guy who came up in towards mailroom, and the rest of the team were kind of scattered, somewhere around the back. This time around, though, they're calling the rotates. It's a little bit too early, and Jam even going for something aggressive gets shut down by the lurker, and now they don't have the site yet, but it's only a matter of time. Decapitate already pushing in deep towards stairs as well, potentially cutting off rotations again.
I want to put a little caveat to their previous point, right? You're right to say, I do definitely agree with you. Drones Go Brrr do not lose out mechanically to ZoomBoomPow except for one player. Decapitate on the Jet has been so pivotal in every single round win. You look at the first round with the 4K, the second round, despite second and third round, in fact, only holding on to a ghost, but was still able to find multiple kills and convert that into something more for them. Decapitate walks through the smoke and he finds the kill onto the Raze. Despite not having much intel, he jumps back off of B Heaven. Doesn't quite realize the Sage is still watching from above. He does go down ultimately, but the Omen is going to be in position to take him down in the end. It's 5 rounds, 1 over to ZoomBoomPow at this point. a lot of it, I have to give credit back over to the Jet on this side of ZoomBoomPow, but, you know, not to discredit Drones go brrr, they just have to find a good spot to take him down. Once you take down this Jet, I think that's half of the battle won for Drones here.
I mean, for Drones, you got the ults. Somebody can res. It's just overwhelming. And has Decapitate actually used his Blade Storm yet?
He has used it once. In the initial charge that he got, he did use it. I'm not sure how much he actually found with the Blade Storm that time, but I am aware that he did use it, and this is his second recharge on his ultimate. At this point, Pretentious comes in. Does manage to find Domino, and so we're still looking for a little bit more. The smokes are going to block out ZoomBoomPow. They can't quite make their way in. They're still trying to find an entry, but they're going to back away now. It's just going to be down to Young hovering over by the side. They hear this pickup. I'm not sure if he wants to make this way in. He does end up spotting. Young takes him down, but ultimately gets killed off by somebody, and so they trade back 1-for-1. But it's really good knowing that that 3 still hovering by A, still stacking that side, and so the rotate should be coming out any second now.
Well, they're going in for the res, and maybe off of this explode in towards the side, and Gem is the only one to put a stop to this. I mean, it looks like the Sage is rotating over as well, the rest of the squad coming in to back up on A side. Decapitate just dashes past Gem, falls to him. It's going to be a trade, 3v3 now, but the spike has not gone down yet. 30 seconds left.
Still looking for an entry in. Should be able to find this. It's a 1-for-1, so they are able to convert back, but it's just down to Young, who still has to watch out for A-Half, but the spike is down. Gets the shot off, and so breaks open the side, moving in back to A elbow, trying to force him back. You can see it's just down to the Jet. He's so far away, trying to rotate back up. Perhaps, but taking such a long time to do so. It's 10 seconds left on the clock, so Young has to make a decision, but it's actually going to go into his benefit. Rotates over to the wrong side. I'm not... Oh no!
Save the
That is a bit of a misread. You know, not realizing there's not enough time to get back in, but still has the Blade Storm. So Bino's still trying to maybe make something happen here. Young is going to be right underneath him at this point. He misses the shot, finds it in the end. They get the kill. Bino going to get the defuse off, and Drones go brrr finally find the first round won in round number 6.
Not a bad clutch at all. I mean, yes, he might have over-rotated, but that's okay. I mean, he had the operator, could have gone for the save, but had the knives, and of course coming in with a 1v1, maybe even a bit of a jump, it just kind of throws Young off a bit in terms of crosshair placement. So, good job. Now they're 1-5. They're going to build their economy back up a little bit more if they win this round. It's very, very good. Not bad at all.
You gotta have some faith in these Jet players, right? Yeah, they gotta have some faith despite having the op. You know, when he knows he has the Blade Storm, you just gotta go for it sometimes.
I'm too bitter and jaded. Playing ranked
You've seen too many of it. All too many happen. Bino still hovering back up in mid, looking for a potential catch. Gets blinded, doesn't quite realize there's somebody behind him, dashes forward, but cannot quite get away, gets clipped by the wall and goes down. Young finds this somebody right behind him to back him up. They look to try and get the flash off. The wall's going to block out that side, and so they make their way over onto B so easily. Nothing can stop this onslaught as they break their way in. Young popping the all, gets the 3K. They find Pretentious, they find the Sage. And now just going to plant the spike. There's not much left for Jam to do except maybe get the Sage kill. But Young's just going to be in position to try and find the trade back. So we see the Molotov come out to get some burn damage off if they can, trying to zone them away. Maybe find a couple of upgrades for their weapons, but I think that's just about it for this.
Gets stunned as well, and now Young is pushing into him. Of course, with the stun, your fire rate is decreased. You can't quite find the shot. It's all up to Quachup now. And of course, Decapitate just looking for a good lunch.
Young almost got a 5K there. Was up to a 4. You know, if Quachup didn't push up at that point, you know, he just stayed where he was, Young could have very likely walked into him and maybe found that. Would have been nice. But either way, I think it's nice for ZoomBoomPow. Where they're standing, 6-1. Getting a really good first half on the attacker side, you know. Could very well see the same for Drones. But Drones just want to pick up as many wins as they can on defense before we head into this next swap.
Drones, they really need an adaptation to this dive in from ZoomBoomPow. I mean, it's been executes on towards A, executes on towards B, sometimes even a fake. Here we go, it's a dash in towards ropes now, and they're looking to pull off an A split. Where are the people looking to stop this? I mean, they must have heard the dash, right?
heard the dash, but I think it's a little bit too late because Decapitate's waiting out for Binu. Finds the first pick up by A Heaven. Should be able to spawn out Jam pretty soon. They make their way onto the side, get the information that they need, but Fuster does manage to trade back onto 2, takes down a couple members on the side of Zoom. And so it's a little bit difficult to get back onto site. The rest of his team being split away by... Yeah, he's getting split away by Jam here, but only with the shorty, it's going to be a little bit difficult to make much of a play happen. Walks into Domino with the 3K in this round. You have the Killjoy ultimate, but I don't think it's going to convert into all too much, especially in this 3-1. Without any armor, I don't think Quaychop should be looking for this. Does manage to find a bit of an upgrade for her weapon, or his weapon rather, and just going to make his way to B-side and try to hold on to this.
Hold on to it. Next round. The rest of the team should be able to buy up as well.
I kind of want to talk a little bit about what you were mentioning earlier, right? About they need some kind of adaptation to this quick push, this quick rush. Do you feel like it's a little bit late because of the agent selection, or do you still think there's a good chance with their playstyle to adapt?
I think it's a play style because, I mean, even with the dive comps, I mean, you're playing similar agent compositions. Brimstone is effectively a controller as well, same as Omen. The only thing is they're not stopping, they're not slowing Decapitate at all. I mean, they're letting him dash into places. No one was there to... They must have heard the dash because Binu was coming back in towards ropes, but just a little bit too late.
We've seen a couple of walls out from the stage trying to block out mid, but oftentimes what we see happen is just the wall gets broken immediately, right? And then you see the stun come through from the breach, and that lines up so well for this team to be able to make their way up through mid.
Right.
I would much rather see, get the slow orbs, buy those up, get ready to put them in position, slow them down, and have Pretentious be in position to try and maybe find some control in mid, like what he's doing right now.
Same thing, I mean, exactly. Pretentious up by ropes. If Decapitate dashes in, this could be a good frag. The rest of the squad as well. I mean, one panel of the wall gets broken, you can smoke it off. But here we go. It's going to be Rolling Thunder in towards the B site, and they're looking to dive in. Quaychop already in position. If they don't clear him, this could be huge. He has his lockdown as well, so it's all about timing right now. But here we go. Showstopper. They don't find him. In fact, they're going in towards stairs. And here we go. Quaychop finds the first one. It's all up to Drones now because the numbers are going in towards them. All that's left is Young, and he's coming in from Garage. Binu spring through the smokes, finds his head, and Pretentious cleans it up with the final headshot.
Finally find the fight they were looking for, gets the round win they wanted, and this should give them a bit more of an entry back into the game. You can see right now, economy slightly saved at this point, so half of them should be able to go for the full buy. A little bit more than half, in fact, and so this gives them a really good spot to play from. You know, now they have equal footing to maybe go for some of these exchanges, whereas before they were forced and relegated back. We have to look back at that round, and how that happened was despite getting information onto Quaychop and getting the stun off, it didn't convert into a kill, gave him the angle to find this return. So I think that the issue was they dived a little bit too deep with the Showstopper, right? The Raze and the Jet ultimately are duelists, ultimately want to dive, but when you go so aggressive and ambitiously into the opponent, you know, it's a pretty high-risk situation.
A little bit overconfident, you know, didn't quite clear the corner and still went in anyway. But that's fine, it's just one round. Here we go, it's Binu opening things up towards ramps, calls it clear because there is no one else. So information gathered, this definitely means through process of deduction that players are in towards mid, possibly be Garage as well. Pretentious is very ready for this, finds the first, does not convert it into a second spray, but still, they have the numbers advantage. It's a 4v3. Oh, the dash goes in.
They get some intel, Decapitate with the first kill, breaks the turret, and so still looking for a potential second. Binu hovering over the side is Jet versus Jet, but Decapitate is just so much better. Finds the entry back, somebody gets the kill on the Quaychop, still hovering at the top. They make their way in, clear B Heaven, should be looking for this plant. Meanwhile, Decapitate just holding on to these angles, trying to watch out for this last player out from Drones Go Brrr. The spike is going to be planted at this point. They could just stack up in any corner at this point, double stack that. Jam has no way to break in without letting his position be known, so he drops the smoke, tries to deny some information, but he's just going to walk right into the opponent. He does take down Decapitate, but with 70 HP, the red's going to come through. He doesn't quite realize that it's right beside him. So Young is going to come back in along with the slow. They should be able to find it. Oh my goodness, they get the defuse in time!
He actually got it, and he gets his ultimate as well. Doesn't matter if he dies now. This is coming into the second last round of the first half. He's able to buy back. I would call that a win. I would call that a win.
Stick to your guns. Believe in the defuse. They find it at the very end there. And they actually had a little bit more time. I was convinced he was going to go for the half defuse and then hold on to that while we're still looking for where the stage might come from. But had full faith in knowing where they were going to be. He stuck to it. They held on to the defuse. They pick up yet another round win. This puts them into in an even better spot. So I have to see. Binu does get this first frag onto Domino. Finally finding the returns they've been looking for. The Jet coming online. Pretentious as well has been performing so well in these past couple of rounds.
There's a bit of a slow as well, at least trying to deny them from rushing in towards Mail, but oh, that's somebody, and he finds the first frag, and all of a sudden, the B-side heaven has been collapsed. They have control over this, and very possibly control over B-side now as well, but Kuichup lurking over by the bottom. If they don't clear him, this could be huge. Young, though, making the quick adaptation. Now with this frag, they could potentially rotate over onto A instead.
Exactly, they're making their way over to A, and it's taking some time for Drones to rotate and try and find this return. Going to make his way over into A elbow, but with the smokes coming out, going to deny some vision, going to prevent him from coming through. Jam's going to get taken down even before he can get there. Young finds the kill credit for that. Down by ropes is just one last player alive. Kuichup, he finds it. He walks over, but decides it's not worth it. Turns around because with full armor and a Vandal in his pocket, it's not going to be worthwhile to try and find a clutch play here. They managed to find a couple kills at this point. Gets the operator, so holding on to a lot of economy right now. Let's see if they can, just going to back away. You can see that Zoom are not going to go too aggressive to try and find this last pick off. Very good round from Zoom.
Very, very good indeed. It was a nice attempt from Drones Go Brrr. I mean, Binu getting the initial pick with the operator. The wall went up. They slowed him down as well, but they did not play it all the way too well coming towards the end. I mean, I would have preferred to see them play a bit of a full retake game. Having the numbers advantage really gives you an advantage in that sense, but instead they kind of went for the frags. Binu just stayed his ground, still wanted to find a couple, but was unable to. I mean, once you are going up against a team like ZoomBoomPow, if they pre-aim the corner, they peek it, it's just going to be an easy frag for them at that point. But here we go. If you take a look at the ultimate economy, Drones Go Brrr have 4. This would definitely give them a big advantage in retakes, which is what I want to see them doing.
But look at this right now. Operator over to Binu, but he has the Bladestorm as well. He's kind of relying on finding this first few frags to give the weapons to his team, because without them, then very bad position. Pretentious goes a little bit too aggressive. Gum goes in with the showstopper, gets taken down, doesn't even manage to find a return kill. Fuster is going to make his way past ropes, gets killed off as well. Decapitate in good position to perhaps find another on the Bino. Has full information of this, comes in with the Bladestorm, cannot quite connect onto this. The operator holding onto this angle. It's going to be a little bit difficult to try and get this trade back. Meanwhile, Decapitate is still in position there to take him down. Somebody going to find a kill credit instead. So it's just down to the last player, the Killjoy on the side of Drones Go Brrr. They do manage to detain at least Decapitate here, but with the spike already down, it's very difficult to get back on.
He's trying to make his way out of A ramps though, as he pushes in. Does not quite clear Heaven because of the smoke. Goes in for the tap, and now the peek comes in. He tries to spray, finds the first. Can he actually get the second, though? Needs to push in towards the elbow. They're all overwhelming him, trying to get the knife. This is just BM at this point.
My
but the frenzy! Wait up! The salt is real!
But he ultimately goes down, and with not enough time, he still manages to find the 4K at the very end of that round. ZoomBoomPow going to go into the next half of the round swap. Now on the defender's side with some good momentum is 3-9. ZoomBoomPow in a good spot to be in. Drones responding. They're going to stack towards A, maybe looking for an A rush.
What did I just witness, man? They're having fun. They're having fun.
You look very excited.
How could you not be after a round like that? Kuichup, I salute you, good sir.
Going to be pretty reliant on this Killjoy, to get information, to be able to kind of watch out for a lot of these flashy plays that Decapitate has been able to make quite consistently. Okay, actually, just look at this rush coming through. I don't think I have time to finish this point.
Same dive in, but here we go. It's the Decapitate coming with the flank from a ramp. He's going to get spotted out by the turret. This should be a quick adaptation from Drones Go Brrr right now, but still, they're on the site. Can't even get the spike down because Carry has been killed. All that's left is GN, the Omen player, coming in from the top. It's an easy tap for Quaichup, my hero. 4-9 now.
He gets the 4K last round. He gets the 3K this round. Just stacking up with kills after 2 back-to-back. Well, I would say 1 big win for Drones Go Brrr. You know, they barely missed out on the defuse, on the smite in the last round of the half. Now going to this one, you can start to see the binds coming through. Pretentious. Pretty interesting choices. Looked like he was going for the Guardian for a second there. Yeah, but
well, it is the Guardian right now. That's a very interesting buy, at least for... Okay,
yeah, there we go. That makes more sense, right?
Yeah, makes more sense. He's a little bit scary. I mean, even going super aggressive with the showstopper at times, but here we go. It's going to be a bit of aggression from ZoomBoomPow. Instead, pushing out of ramps, it's going to be a slaughter. The drone, actually, the Boombot does find one. Still, though, it's kind of a round that we know will be going over to Drones Go Brrr. It's just a matter of how much damage exactly can ZoomBoomPow do.
If they can at least find another kill, it could be nice. Quaichup with yet another 3K. So it's good tempo for this team as they manage to find a lot more space for themselves, moving on to the attacker's side. Get their footing. They get much better results now that they are the ones to make the aggressive moves. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think that the first map that we saw as well, you know, it didn't quite go their favor when they were on the attacking side. But this time, looks like because they couldn't quite find the correct angles to hold on to. But now that they've been able to come on to split, it's been much better for them in that regard.
You are right, you are right. Drones Go Brrr, I mean, knowing that they don't quite have the coordination or the executes to come in with an effective push. I mean, now that they're on the other side, they're a little bit more comfortable, right? Because they can pick their fights instead of waiting and reacting to whatever ZoomBoomPow throws at them. This time, though, it's going to be the 3rd round of the 2nd half. ZoomBoomPow will have the full buy, which means they're going to have to play it carefully. They still have Spectres. They might be able to rush in, but they need to play these close-range engagements to perfection. If even a single player falls, it's going to be the Phantom that finds the spray. So now Jen, with the Paranoia in hand, potentially slowing down this push. He pops it a little bit too early, but it's all because somebody wants to go for the peek. They find the frags. It's a double right now, and this does not let them push out of Garage anymore.
You gotta love this. You gotta love this push coming through. They managed to deny the entry, and you know, you might have said it came out a little bit too early, but they were still able to find so much value with it. Quaichup finally does manage to trade back onto 1, but with 30 HP left and not all too many spots to look out for. Decapitate trying to get a couple shots through the wall, trying to wall bang him, take him down. Ultimately finds the headshot, leaves Quaichup back down to full HP. He manages to upgrade his gun for a second, but the defenders will win on this full buy. It's kind of what you expect, right, Control? It's the 3rd round is kind of a given back to the defender's side, to the side that lost the first 2. And now they should come in with a full buy, stronger than before, trying to get back in onto side, get control back here. I have to say, what I really loved from Zoom in that last round was the Sage, somebody getting the slow off, right? The Ice Orb put them in a bad spot, and then you pair that together with the Omen, did very well for them. At least going into this next round, you know, it is going to be slightly different. No reason to stack B like they did before. Instead, they're going to make a rush towards A with Domino going a bit aggressive, trying to find something, but they're not going to be here. So now they realize might have to go back onto A site.
Interesting, asserting their dominance out towards mid, but guess what? The lockdown is being deployed, which means this should be able to give them a safe plant. As long as the smokes are, yep, pretty good, covering all the sites, screens, as well as Heaven. Allows for B to get
oh my goodness,
but misses the right click. Oh no! Has to swap over to the Classic now.
Yeah, now he doesn't have anything left, so Yon's going to take him down. They have good angles over this. They're watching over Drones right now. Zoom's just going to find 2 more kills. They are in a great position to just win this round outright. And you can see the Rolling Thunder coming through, making good damage. Decapitate takes down yet another. Is just down to the Sage at this point, where he's going to go down to the Omen in the end. And things were looking good for a second. You could see the Jet hovering up by A Heaven, and it looked like he had them all lined up through the smoke. I mean, he couldn't see, but we could see him lined up through the smoke, just a little bit too high. Misses the right click. If he got the reset there, could have potentially been that 3K, could have been the round 1 for Drones. And so now they're back in a bad spot because economy hurt after that last round. They made a full buy to come back in on in this game. Now 5-11, Zoom is still looking pretty handily, able to pick up a full buy on the economy.
That's right.
On the utility.
Utility. Right click's just not as effective at that range. I mean, even with the classic as well, I mean, perhaps the better choice would have been to rotate somewhere up towards elbow, where your classic right click would have done a lot better. But this time, it's decapitate. Early aggression knows that he can't wait for these 8 duels. They're going in. They're looking for the frags. They're playing deathmatch. Young and Domino, they clean up. It's 12-5, and we're at match point for ZoomBoomPow.
Running them down fast, and the flash kind of put them in a really awkward spot there. You can see Koicha was trying to get back back in the sewers, but get clipped by the wall, couldn't quite see where he was going, and ultimately lost his life. So ZoomBoomPow, match point, like you mentioned, are looking to win this one outright in a very convincing fashion as well. Really convincing. I mean, earlier on Ascent, it was what, 13-4 this time? Yeah.
Potentially 13-5. I still want to believe in the drones, though. Where is the adaptation? They have an operator this time around. Binu, potentially able to find something up towards Mail Room. Somebody up on the wall. Doesn't want to peek just yet, but we have the Omen smoke to block it off. This just pushes drones away, but Domino goes in with the aggression. Because of all this time and space, they've been stuck in mid for so long. ZoomBoomPow has already pushed out of A as well as B main.
Jam does manage to trade back, and so it's down to a 3v3 again. Decapitate has the ultimate at this point, finds one, potentially looking for a second. Binu with the trade back with the operator. Still in a good spot here, and it's a headshot to take down Jam, so they just have to find just the last player remaining with 50 seconds left on the clock. There's plenty of time to still make a play, but running him down, rushing into his face. They're going for this last kill. He's flashed out. He cannot find the shot with the up. Still looking for this. Gets the headshot with the classic, but it's not enough damage to take him down. Somebody with the final kill to win out the game. The second map split going to go over to them too as they win the grand finals.
They wanted to go for the knife, dude. They wanted to go for the
no,
knife.
It was looking pretty nicey for a second, right?
But somebody, he's just somebody that I once used to know. He goes in for the safer option instead, thankfully. So we close this out in an honorable fashion, 13-5. Of course, ZoomBoomPow, this one being their map pick. They just had all the perfect rotations, reading basically drones go brrr like a book.
Yeah, it definitely felt that way, right? They had so much more information, they had such better control. You know, when it came down to the aim fights, I think you were right to say that drones did not necessarily lose mechanically. Maybe with the exception of the captain, I have to say he was a really honestly a standout player, right? A lot of these fights were won on his back. But that being said, when it came down to it, you know, they were pretty even as long as they could take down the jet, which is a tall order, to be honest. Honestly, you know, they had some really close moments, and I felt like if they had a little bit more time and chances to prepare with the full roster, they could have come into this competition and made it much closer.
I absolutely agree, wholeheartedly. I mean, Drones Go Brrr, they weren't the ones who actually knocked ZoomBoomPow into the lower bracket, so it's really just because full roster. Where did the one guy go? Yeah. You gotta blame that dude. But still, yeah. I mean, they came close enough. There were some nice rounds. I mean, even Quachup with the... I mean, that
4K,
was... Let's be fair.
No, but to be fair, he got a 4K, 3K, 3K.
Yep, exactly.
So 3 rounds back-to-back, he took more than half the kills, right, in those 3 rounds consecutively. So you have to say, you know, it is not a fluke if you ask me.
It really is not a fluke. I mean, you might have seen the knives, but coming into the next few rounds, he did show up, and you would love to see more from these teams. This is I believe, the first Campus League from
the very
Riot.
first.
Yep, yeah. Summer season, potentially maybe a second, maybe fall season. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to be on the lookout for that. If you guys want to participate, you know, be on the lookout for more information. As I think Valorant is making a pretty big push across Southeast Asia, across the world. In fact, you know, we saw our champions played recently, and now we're already back into the next set of competition, right? The European games have already continued, you know, Southeast Asian VCT is continuing as well. But of course, congratulations once again to our ultimate winners. It's SMU's ZoomBoomPow, being able to take home that $600 prize pool. You know, it's double the $300 that Drones Go Brrr will be able to get.
It's pretty good, right? I mean, let's about $120 per person. You can effectively purchase a full premium price skin bundle on Valorant. I don't know. I mean, there's rumors that the next one is going to be Ruined King Diego theme. That's going to be interesting.
Interesting stuff to see for sure. With that, that's pretty much about it for this set of games. It's a quick best of 3. We've come to the end, and once again, congratulations to ZoomBoomPow for being our first season Grand Finals winners. I'm Giminus, and with me has been Kentrol. For more information, feel free to follow the Versus Asia page, as well as look out for any Riot official channels to get more news on when we have more Valorant things going on, especially with the next season of VCT starting. And that's about it from us. So we'll catch you guys again next time.